Being National Guard Sergeant Andrew Wolfe. You may remember Wolfe and fellow Guard member Sarah Beckstrom were shot last November near the Farragut Square metro station. Sadly, Beckstrom did not survive, and Wolfe has been in recovery at the hospital ever since. Tonight, the president presented Wolfe and Beckstrom's family with a Purple Heart pen honoring their service and their sacrifice.
With God's help, Andrew has battled back from the edge of death, and we're talking about the edge of death, on his way to a miraculous recovery. He's got a little work to do, but he's doing great.
The president covered a lot of ground in his lengthy speech, and he had many special guests in the gallery to support his points.
Our Melissa Kim watched the State of the Union. She joins us with some of the highlights. And Melissa, there were a lot to pick from.
Yes, indeed. But as you guys just mentioned, one of the more memorable moments of tonight's State of the Union was when he talked about those two National Guard members from West Virginia. Specialist Beckstrom's parents stood to applause, and then for the first time since he was shot in the head, we are seeing Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolfe out of the hospital. The president talked about Beckstrom's mother, who he says never lost hope that her son was going to survive. And Staff Sergeant Wolfe, actually, mother said that. Staff Sergeant Wolfe was in the gallery with his mother there and stood when the president talked about him to thunderous applause from Congress. He then awarded him with a Purple Heart.
Now I'm going to ask a highly respected General James Seward to present Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolfe and the great family of Sarah Beckstrom with the award created by our late great President George Washington himself. It's called the Purple Heart. In fact, crime in Washington is now at the lowest level ever recorded, and murders in D.C. this January were down close to 100% from a year ago.
President Trump also saying that D.C. is now the safest city in the country. Now, the other big topic tonight, the economy. The president talked about the strides he's made since he took office.
In the last 3 months of 2025, it was down to 1.7%. The price of eggs is down 60%. Gasoline, which reached a peak of over $6 a gallon in some states under my predecessor, it was quite honestly a disaster, is now below $2.30 a gallon in most states, and in some places, $1.99 a gallon.
Also talked about tariffs, including last week's Supreme Court decision, which found his tariffs to be illegal. But President Trump assured Congress and Americans that he would make sure that they are indeed instilled again. And among some of the other topics, President Trump mentioned how he ended DEI in America and took 2.4 million Americans off of food stamps. The president also honored the U.S. men's hockey team, fresh off of a gold medal victory at the Olympics in Milan Cortina. Leslie, Zoe, back to you guys.